Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family. Because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling.
In a moment that shook the entertainment world to its core, two of China's brightest stars, Liu Yuning and Zhao Lusi, walked into Yu Menglong's funeral, their grief so raw and overwhelming that Liu Yuning collapsed in tears. What unfolded that day was not just a farewell, but a revelation that left millions speechless. At Beijing's revered cemetery, where silence pressed heavily upon every soul present, the arrival of Liu Yuning and Zhao Lusi shifted the atmosphere in an instant. What was intended to be a solemn private farewell for Yu Menglong became a public moment of raw emotion, layered with meaning far beyond the grief of a typical funeral. The air seemed to thicken as the two stars, usually seen as poised and untouchable, revealed themselves in ways that startled even the most seasoned observers. Liu Yuning, whose commanding stage presence and strong demeanor had long been admired, appeared transformed. His suit, though perfectly tailored, seemed to hang loosely on him, as though the weight of loss had diminished his very frame. Each step toward the memorial hall was marked by hesitation, as though the gravity of the moment was pressing down with unbearable force. His eyes, often sharp and unyielding, brimmed with tears that refused to be contained. The sight alone was powerful enough to draw gasps from those gathered, for it was not the image of a star but of a man stripped of all armor. Beside him, Zhao Lusi clutched a simple bouquet of white chrysanthemums, her hands trembling as she held on to the only thing she could offer in such a moment of profound sorrow. Known to the public for her vibrant smile and lively energy, she now seemed fragile, her face pale, her lips pressed tightly together as though every ounce of strength was being summoned to keep her from breaking entirely. The usual brightness that defined her image was absent, replaced by a quiet grief that seemed almost unbearable to witness. When the two finally stood side by side before Yu Menglong's portrait, their presence carried a weight of history and unspoken truth. The stillness of the crowd was pierced not by words, but by the heavy sound of stifled sobs, whispers of disbelief, and the overwhelming silence of respect. This was no ordinary goodbye. It was the moment the world glimpsed the humanity of two stars, stripped bare by the loss of the man who had shaped their lives. In that space, under the shadow of grief, they were no longer just celebrities, but people mourning the figure who had given them both direction and meaning. The reaction to Liu Yuning and Zhao Lusi's appearance at Yu Menglong's funeral was not simply about their presence. It was about the overwhelming force of emotion that unfolded before countless eyes. Fans who had long admired Liu Yuning for his composure and commanding performances were stunned as he dissolved into tears. His grief so intense it overtook his body, leaving him faint and shaken. For many, the sight was almost too much to comprehend. Here was a man celebrated for strength and control, undone in front of the world by the loss of someone who clearly meant far more to him than the public had ever realized. His collapse was not just physical, it was symbolic. A moment that stripped away the carefully built image of a star and revealed the vulnerable human being beneath. Beside him, Zhao Lusi mirrored that pain in a quieter but no less piercing way. Her expression, usually bright with optimism, carried a depth of sorrow that made those watching feel as if they were intruding on something deeply personal. She stood trembling, trying to hold her composure, yet her eyes betrayed a grief that was impossible to hide. It was as if every rejection, every hardship, every triumph of her early career was resurfacing in that moment, tied inexorably to the man who had first believed in her talent. The silent tears running down her face were not only for Yu Menglong, but also for the part of herself that he had nurtured and protected. Together, the two stars created a tableau of grief that transcended language and culture. Their shared pain resonated with audiences not simply because of their fame, but because it was so achingly real. People watching did not see actors performing. They saw two lives laid bare, their sorrow reaching across the boundaries of stage and screen to remind the world of something universal. Grief humbles even the strongest. Love and mentorship leave scars when they are taken away. And even those who seem untouchable in the spotlight are not immune to the weight of loss. The emotional impact of that day was not confined to the cemetery in Beijing. It rippled outward, touching fans across the globe, reminding them that behind every celebrated figure lies a story of struggle, gratitude, and bonds too deep to fade with death. The story of Liu Yuning and Zhao Lusi at Yu Menglong's funeral goes far beyond the images of grief captured that day. What the public witnessed was not only two young stars mourning a respected elder, but the unveiling of connections and histories that had long been hidden behind the glittering facade of the entertainment world. Yu Menglong was not simply an industry figure to them. He was a guide, a mentor, and in many ways a fatherly presence who recognized their worth when others only saw obstacles. For Liu Yuning, whose transition from music to acting was met with doubt and criticism, Yu Menglong became the anchor who gave him direction. He opened doors that would have remained closed and offered words that pulled him back from despair when the pressures of fame became unbearable. The tears Liu Yuning shed were not only for the man who passed away, but for the countless unseen battles that he had survived because Yu Menglong believed in him. For Zhao Lusi, the bond was equally profound. Before she became a household name, she was a young student juggling auditions and part-time jobs, often on the verge of giving up. Yu Menglong saw her, not as another hopeful face in the crowd, but as someone with extraordinary potential. He placed her in roles that showcased her authenticity, taught her how to carry herself in an unforgiving industry, and shielded her from mistakes that might have ended her journey prematurely. Her quiet sobs at the funeral were echoes of gratitude, a silent acknowledgement that without his hand, her path might have been entirely different. What drew the world's attention, however, was not just their individual grief, but the way they leaned on each other through it. At a moment when vulnerability could have isolated them, they found strength together, suggesting a bond that goes deeper than professional courtesy. Their shared connection to Yu Menglong has now become a thread that ties them in ways both personal and profound. It speaks to the transformative power of mentorship and how one man's faith can alter the trajectory of two lives forever. Beyond the spectacle of fame, what unfolded that day was a story of legacy, love, and the undeniable truth that even in an industry built on illusion, the most powerful narratives are those rooted in genuine human connection. What we saw at that funeral was more than celebrity drama. It was a reminder that behind fame and success, these are real human beings with real pain. It showed the power of mentorship, the importance of gratitude, and how shared grief can forge unbreakable connections. Even in the darkest of moments, there was beauty in the way they stood by each other. Industry sources also revealed that Yu Menglong had been preparing a project titled Eternal Seasons, crafted especially for Liu Yuning and Zhao Lusi. Though unfinished, this project is now remembered as his legacy, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the dreams he left behind. As fans reflect on this heartbreaking chapter, one thing is clear: Yu Menglong's influence will continue to live through the stars he believed in, and the sight of Liu Yuning and Zhao Lusi, united in grief, will remain one of the most unforgettable moments in entertainment history. Thank you for watching Update X24H. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and join us as we continue to bring you stories that touch the heart and spark conversation. Your support means everything, and we can't wait to see you in the next update.